This is my presentation on whether I think fear is or isn't a harmful emotion. Fear is and has been essential to human survival for thousands of years. Without fear, Darwin's theory of natural selection would have taken its toll much quicker, and it would have exterminated the human race a long time ago. Since fear is ingrained in all people, we can prevent impending doom by making the decision to move away from a dangerous situation. For example, would you jump off a cliff? Obviously not, since we are fearful of injury or death. Self-preservation is the foremost thought when confronted with a dangerous situation. That's why I don't believe fear is a harmful emotion. It's possible to make the argument that pain, for example, is harmful, but without pain, we might not know we have a broken bone or some other illness. It's the same for fear. Fear is a necessity for survival. We can prove this by referencing a text called "What You Don't Know Can Kill You" by Jason Daly. In paragraph 6, he says, "Our hardwired gut reactions developed in a world full of hungry beasts and warring clans, where they served important functions. Letting the amygdala, part of the brain's emotional core, take over at the first sign of danger, milliseconds before the neocortex was aware a spear was headed for our chest, was probably a very useful adaptation. This essentially means that we react to danger before we can really think about what's happening, and that the immediacy of this reaction is what has helped us stay alive for hundreds of thousands of years." Daly goes on to say, "Even today those nanopauses and gut responses save us from getting flattened by buses or dropping a brick on our toes. The primal instinct present in most all animals is one of keeping yourself safe. Humans are the odd ones out in this respect, as people like soldiers and firefighters actually put themselves on the line for others." Another reason that fear is indeed not a harmful emotion is from the Crucible. The basic premise of the Crucible, and of the real-life events of the Salem witch trials, is that a few teenage girls decided to pretend that they were tormented by the devil. Now, at face value, this might seem like it's an argument to the contrary, but in fact it's not. You need to put yourself in the situation in the position of the townspeople in the 1600s. They truly believed, and their religion dictated, that these girls were actually haunted. Their fear of sin and having one of their youths bewitched was overwhelming, and their fear was tangible. Now, it might have gotten out of hand at some points, but in the end, Salem's town people did what they thought was right. The last connection I made is to George Takei's interview. He talks about the struggles he and his family faced when he was in an internment camp during World War II. Now, in this case, I am by no means defending the actions of the highest up in our country at that time, and their decision to put the 99% of innocent people into forced camps, but in doing so, they kept that possible 1% from giving valuable information to the Japanese, because, let's face it, Japan most likely had at least a few spies in the US at that time. Overall, internment camps were unethical, but in that time of fear it kept a lot of US citizens safe and gave the upper hand to the US military. These examples are very different, but connect with fear and prove that fear is not only not harmful, but actually beneficial to humans. Without the emotion of fear, humans and even other animals would have died off and become extinct very early on with no impact on the world.